Delicious.
Are they delicious?
Oh,
How delicious are they?
Mm. Oh, yeah.
All right. All right. Now that Chris's palate's properly cleansed, hey, everybody. Welcome back to Beer Analysis 101 with Maxwell Starr and an illustrious panel that's actually larger than it has been in the last like several weeks, including one very special person here that I thought didn't love us anymore, who seems to have shaved since we last seen him, this Average Joe in the panel. But before we start to introducing members, or doing more introducing of members, showing up members, and somebody mute themselves.
Sorry.
All right. Well, tonight we're going to take a look at Erdinger. Not that one. We're going to do Erdinger Weissbier tonight, which is one of the world's top-selling Hefeweizens. Anyway, moving right along, we've already kind of introduced Joe, but we haven't let him speak yet, so we might as well do that. Hey, Joe, how are you tonight,
Motherfucking amateurs up in this joint. You pick up the wrong beer. Chris doesn't mute himself. He has to go in the background. What's happening? What has happened in like the last month since I've been here? Completely downhill. Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I blame Lee.
We need you.
No, I do blame Lee too.
All right. Blame you. I thought we were blaming Ewart for this stuff.
Now, Ewart gets the blame all the time, but Lee about 50-50 we'll go with.
All right. Anyway, speaking of people that usually get the blame for stuff, hey, Greg, how are you tonight? And thank you for those beers.
You're welcome. I gotta say, I'm a little conflicted because normally I'm very attracted to Joe, but I feel now that he shaved his beard, if I do anything to him, I'm gonna get charged with statutory rape. And I want no part of that, Joe. I want to see somebody do my friend.
Classy.
Well, you're not going to child rape, Nick. I kept it classy at least. Jesus Christ.
Anyway, hey, Chris, how are you tonight? On the 10th?
I'm good, thank you very much. My palate's all cleansed, as you guys
have
seen.
Yeah,
I'm not done
pickle
talking.
Juice really cuts through the after, like whatever you last ate in your mouth, doesn't it? It cleanses the palate right out.
Well, I did have a Coors Light right before this, so I had to cleanse my palate.
And to get rid of the flavor from that one.
That's right. I had to get rid of the corn and to get ready for the bleach. With the pickle.
Had to bleach out the corn.
That's right.
Right. All right, and we have another person who hasn't been on with us for a while. Hey, Guy, drinking in Canada. How are you doing tonight, man?
Good, thank you. Number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah.
Does the beard making you look like Riker or something?
Sure.
All right, whatever. And we've got
like number
Craig.
2.
He looks like a number 2. Shut up.
Oh, you made number 2 in the toilets.
Anyway, now that this has been properly flushed down the drain.
Do it.
Hey, Craig. Craig from Kent Beer Reviews. Sorry. How are you doing tonight?
Hello. Yeah, all right. Oh, not bad.
Thanks for joining
Finally
us.
having a beer. Oh, yeah, it's cool.
How was the trip?
Massive week.
Yeah. Yeah, how was the trip anyway?
Yeah, it was all right. Not too bad. The beer was, it was wet. That's about it, really. It's just... There you are.
A lot of plain waters.
Yeah, well, there's a few bits and bobs, a few German beers. They were all right. One or two of the other beers exploded on opening on camera, so that's cool. So something to look forward to.
Nice. Sounds like fun.
So yeah.
Anyway,
good.
Cool. Anyway, we've got another guy with has done something strange to his beard. It's the Urban Viking. No, it's not the Urban Viking. It's was it the Techno Viking that had the weird? Anyway, we got Redbeard here. Their red bearded friend. How are you doing tonight?
I'm not doing bad. What be going down, everybody?
We're obviously drinking the same beer. That's one thing that's going down.
Hell yeah.
He is a Techno Viking.
Hell yes. What is it, Teku?
I don't know. I like techno music occasionally, so I don't know.
Techno Viking. Google it at some point, but not right now. Anyway, moving right along, we've got the Clueless Drinker. Hi, Peter. How are you tonight?
Not too bad. Okay. We're drinking a classic, I suppose. So all is good in love and war.
Classic. You didn't even have a chance to try when you were living in Germany, you said?
No, for that 7 years that I was there, I never once drank this beer.
Well, and now we kind of suckered you into it.
Exactly. So It's nice to revisit the classics, I suppose.
Hey, maybe it'll be as good as MGD. You never know.
Hey, you never know.
Maybe. Well, we might as well start talking about the beer. Erdinger Weissbier. If you have
crack her open,
do it. Anyway, Erdinger Weissbier or Weissbier is a Hefeweizen. If you haven't been able to, if you know this beer already, you'll probably know that. Anyway, it's a traditional German style of unfiltered wheat beer, which is akin to other beers such as Pollner Hefeweizen, Hacker Shore, Weinstefaner, Erdinger Brauweiss, which I've got a bottle up here behind me. Also, there's like Schneider Weiss, some really popular types out there. And there's one that I sorely wish that I could still get, which is Conne Ludwig Weissbier, which used to be sold here, but I can't get anymore. But I was probably the most flavorful one that I'd ever had back in the day. We're talking about, I think, 7 years ago, when the last time I had it, 6-7 years. Anyway, it's interesting to note that most of the Hefeweizens I mentioned here originate from the Bavarian region of Germany, where Rheinheitsgebot was originated. As the Bavarian purity law dictated that beer may only have 3 ingredients: hops, barley, and water. Well, of course, they didn't account for yeast back in 1516, so they didn't know what it was. However, Hefeweizen, brewed with a significant portion of wheat, or wheat, was a popular style that predated Rheinheitsgebot and remained popular with the Bavarian royal family. And in fact, the descendants of the Bavarian royal family today run König Ludwig. Rheinheitsgebot itself was later made an exception for this style, dictating that all Weissbiers or Weissbiers must be top fermented. Moving right along to the beer itself, Erdinger originated in 1886 as Weiss Brauhaus in the town of Erding, Germany, within the Bavarian region of Germany, about 45 kilometers away from Munich. In 1935, the company's managing director, Franz Bromock, purchased the brewery, and in 1949 renamed the brewery to Erdinger Weissbrau. By the 1960s, Erdinger became the first brewer to distribute Weissbier outside of the borders of Bavaria, and later expanded to global production. In 1974, Werner Brombach took over the company following the death of his father, but he still runs it today. Currently, they are the largest producer of Weissbier in the world, and their beer is available in 90 countries. Erdinger also makes other beers, such as the Erdinger Dunkel. There is also Erdinger Picantis, which is their Weizenbock. They also have Crystal Claire, which is their Crystal Weiss, and Erdinger Alcohol Frei, which is the non-alcoholic version, which is apparently the world's most popular non-alcoholic beer. And I've had it before. It's not bad. It's cardboardy, but it's not bad as compared to other non-alcoholic beers, which isn't really saying much. Anyway, they have others too, but I didn't write them down. So let's move along. Average Joe, might as well start with you since you're special tonight. Welcome back. And what's your history with this beer?
I don't really have one. I mean, I drank it a couple times, maybe 7-8 years ago, but it was very forgettable. So, I mean, I probably haven't drank this in 5+ years for good reason. I'm like Peter, no reason to. So I don't have much of a history. Yeah, I remember not enjoying it all that much, so that's about all I got.
Thanks for being eventful. All right, Greg, what's your history on it?
Copy paste what Joe said. Had it a few times. Don't particularly remember it. Did a wheat beer challenge earlier this year where I did all the wheat beers, and I'll tell you the results of that later. I'll tell you how it compares to how I think it is now. But that's my history, which is basically meh. I've had it once or twice before.
You make it sound like Lee's sex life or something.
He's leaving us in suspense over here.
It's, you know what? I've always tried to parallel it as best as possible. A few times I've opened this, it spilled over too quickly, couldn't control it.
All right, Chris, on the 10th. What's your history with this?
My history of this is none at all. I've never had this before. I've had wheat beers before, but I haven't had this one in particular. And yeah, so I'm a virgin to the Erdinger wheat beer.
Finally getting you aired out.
Yeah.
All right, Guy, what's your history on it?
I thought I never had it, but apparently I reviewed it in Pascal's house in 2013, and I don't remember anything of it.
Well, you were at Cousin Pascal's house, so that's probably why you don't remember any of it.
That's why I don't have to say anything more.
Plead the fifth. All right, Craig, what's your history on Erdinger? Have you had it before?
I've had it probably a handful of times from a bottle, a few times, probably about 14 years ago, something like that. And we used to go out and just lagering it up, and I thought, yeah, I'll try one of those. I actually enjoyed it back then in 2015, but I can't remember what I thought of it. So it's kind of like having it again, really. So,
cool.
So yeah.
Hey, you get the Weissbier glass too. Cool. Now, is that the actual Erding Weiss glass, or is it? Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Right on.
It's the only one I've actually got. It's very rare for me to actually get this.
You guys are so fancy.
And all that nonsense, yeah.
You guys are so fancy, says the guy with a Teku sitting next to him.
I'm in love with this glass. I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with it.
It's all right. I love that kind of glass too. What do you think, Redbeard? Have you had this before? What's your
I've not had it before. I've gotten into it a little bit here. I'm actually finding it surprisingly not bad. Like, it's not anything that I'm being wowed by, but there's nothing really offensive about it. If somebody gave me a bottle at a party or something, I drink it. It's okay. It's decent. It's a wheat beer. It's got that really typical kind of wheat beer smell. I haven't had a whole lot of wheat beers. It's not my favorite style, so I don't really know the taste kind of offhand, but
we'll dissect it in a second.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Getting ahead of myself.
And Peter, we kind of touched on your little history on this a little, but you might as well go into detail. What's your history?
Well, there's no history, but going back to the Picantus, that is one that I've had a few times, and that is that's a beautiful little beer. But yeah, I don't know, because when you're in a place like Germany and you see all like the traditional stuff, you sort of think, oh, I'll get to that at some point. And I just never got around to drinking it. Plus, wheat beer's really not my favourite style at all. I don't know if I'm gonna go for something, even though I'll talk about the beer in a bit. I'd opt for something like Schneiderweiser, or
yes,
like I don't know really. I don't really tend to lean towards them. If I do, it's more like the Weizenbox or the hoppy wheat beers, or where they've done something a little bit different to it. But yeah, I'm actually glad that I'm finally getting around to reviewing it. So yeah, that's it really.
After how many years of making excuses, saying I'll get to that later.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I will concur. When it comes to Hefeweizen, it's probably the most boring on the shelf. But my personal history on this one is, I think first time I ever had this beer was going back to 2009, 2010, when I was first getting into really trying different craft beers. I reviewed it on my channel back in, I think I had the review open. It was sometime mid or late 2011. It was one of the first 200 beers that I'd ever reviewed. And I remember liking it, but I remember, because at the time I had Erdinger, I was still able to get my favorite Konig Ludwig, and I was still able to get some other Hefeweizen. So it was the only one I tried. And I just kind of thought this was the most bland of the whole bunch. And, well, I'll get into what I think about the taste later, but my whole thoughts on this one is that I always look down on the Erdinger Weissbier as the most boring of the whole lot of Erdingers I've had, because you're right, Picantus is really tasty. That's actually an empty that I've had on my. I need to recycle, and the Dunkel is really good as well. But when it comes to Erdinger, I haven't even drank this since 20. Geez, I don't know the last time I had it, but I know that I haven't even put it on Untapped. So just because I haven't bothered to pick it up, but I will drink this one in a heartbeat.
The brewery name is fantastic, and that every single time you say it, it sounds like you're saying Erdinger. And then whatever you say afterwards, it's glorious. It's so fun.
A lot of people were trying to correct me last night on Chris's Hangout, saying it was Erdinger. And some people do pronounce it that way, but I actually looked up the pronunciation online to say, okay, am I crazy? I've been calling it Erdinger for years, or I've been calling it Erdinger for years, to be honest. But its proper pronunciation is Erdinger.
Sorry. Yeah. That's one thing that I know it's me being a bit of a snob, but when I hear people like mispronouncing the German words, it's sort of like it's like a drill in my head. Exactly. And the biggest example is when people say Rauchbier.
Rauchbier?
It's Rauchbier. You sort of like say you say the CH like, and I don't. It's a non-issue. But it's just every time I hear it, it gives me a giggle. And I was so glad that you were vindicated last night. It was a small victory.
Yeah, well, you guys don't know how to pronounce Trump.
Trump.
That's good. That's good then.
Yeah.
Damn, he got it.
Let's not go there. All right. So when it comes to out of style, do we have Jamie in the chat watching? By the way, yeah, he's there. Okay, Jamie, if you can hear me. Get ready to take score because we're gonna get to what Average Joe thinks. I'm not writing everything down this time, so it's all on him to give us an after rating. Do the math because I'm not doing it tonight.
Are you seriously under the impression that Jamie cares enough to do the math when he's not a part of it?
If he cares, he cares. But if he cares about the channel, I know Jamie cares. Thanks,
Jamie's a lovely person.
Just because
Jamie's a great guy, but he no way.
We'll get the scores in some kind of gift tomorrow. That's what we're gonna get.
All right, so do I talk about how great this beer is or not great this beer is?
You can talk about whatever you want. And then give it a rating out of whatever out of 10 for style and then for overall.
Well, I'm going to go off the basis that we're doing it out of a perfect 88 scale, so that's what I'll go with. No, whatever. This beer is, you pretty much said it, Nick. It is about the most bland. How do you say that, Peter? Is it Hefeweizen? Oh, it's Hefeweizen. No, it's Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen.
It's a Vit beer? Oh no, it's not. Okay. It's
sweet.
It's like the macro version of a good Hefeweizen. Like it is just it's very bland. It's having actually a few Hefeweizens over the last couple of months of some of the better ones. It lacks in overall flavor. There isn't a pronounced spiciness to it. It doesn't have like that big banana clove thing going on. It's just like a generic sweetness with a slight spiciness and a big dryness, and that's about all it is for me. It's not offensive. It's very inoffensive, but there is nothing in this beer that would make me go out of my way to ever purchase it again. So I'm glad I bought a 4-pack of it. On top of that, what is it? Style? Style 6? Maybe being nice. I mean, it's kind of within the style, but it's just like that was a great burp. Fantastic. 6 in style, and it's all right. 6.5 for personal preference, but very, very just whatever. Blah. Disappointing. Don't want to drink it again. So.
You want it. You love it.
I do not.
You want all the Erdinger.
I want all of this greatness. Out of it, the Taku makes it like about a half rating better, maybe a full rating point.
Well, in that case,
there you go. You got a transfer.
Hey, you're skewing your results.
I mean, no one really cares about the results. Let's be honest.
They just watch it for us to make our ass. This is a shit show after all.
Well, no one really watches it. That's the thing.
You'd be surprised. I've gotten at least
I would be
60.
I would be
viewers on each one.
I'm pretty sure that's Jace Westcott hitting the refresh button.
It could well be. I have to take a look and see what the average viewership, like how much people have actually watched of it. They tuned in for 2 minutes and then refreshed the page.
I did freak out one small live streaming friend of mine one time by opening up his same live stream in like 10 different tabs, and it showed up as there were like 12 people watching, and then I just closed them all of a sudden.
Let's see how many viewers
right now, and that's Jason.
It's funny. Just who's open my hoping this thing on several tabs anyway.
Actually,
on all the tabs.
surprisingly, I've only got it open on the one.
I've got it up on
Watch
my
the-
phone.
Every
so-
computer
Just
in
two.
the house.
Like people who ask for subs, I closed it down once you mentioned that.
All right, so PA Bruce says we're boring, so let's keep moving. You gave your ratings already, Joe. So Greg,
Well,
what's
first
your-
of all, I want
what's your
everyone to
thoughts?
sub to my channel, please. Second
Done.
of all, yeah, this beer sucks. It basically exactly what Joe said. It's to me, it basically tastes like a shitty lager that's been sweetened up a little bit. I can't even pull any particular flavors. There's no banana. There's no candy sugar. There's no delicious spices. This is mediocre for, I mean, for style. I'm probably going to say 3 out of 10 just because there are worse beers out there like, Big Macro wheats. But you know what? I wish I had a bottle of Molson Canadian wheat from a few years ago because my memory is hazy, but I think it had more flavor than this did. In terms of personal enjoyment, it's not offensive. As a beer, it's fine. I did earlier this year. I did a big wheat challenge or whatever, where I bought every single wheat beer at the LCBO, and I just checked my rating for that before I came on here. And yeah, this came dead last. I'm not surprised. I gave it a 6.5 then. I gave it a 6 now. It's actually worse now. Yeah, don't. I actually quite like wheat beers. They're actually one of my preferred styles for warm weather. And this is just, I would see no reason to buy this again unless Nick decides we have to re-examine it next year.
And do another examination. I think. Yeah. Oh,
And also the Dunkel's not that great either.
We're gonna need you to slow down and settle down with your hate. You're hating a single beer, please.
Shots fired.
Like you're
I
crazy.
just want to be equal. I want to say I hate the white and the black equally. There's no preference.
All right, moving right along. Okay, Chris, on the 10th,
Actually,
what's
the black is
your
better.
thoughts on this?
Well, thank God I cleansed my palate before drinking this because I was so afraid that I was going to get muted taste and shit out of this beer. But you know what? Yeah, it didn't help. I get nothing out of this. This is super boring. I've had a few wheat beers, and this one, like everyone else has said so far, there's nothing to this one. It's a meh for me. I mean, there's supposed to be clove banana in here, but no, I get nothing. It's a macro wheat beer is what this is. This has been muted, so it's not offensive to anybody drinking it. For style, I'm going to give this a 3, and for personal enjoyment, I wouldn't go out and buy this again, but I'm not. Don't get me wrong. If I'm out somewhere and somebody has one of these and that's the only thing we're drinking the night, I'm going to drink it. I'm not going to say no. Like I said, it's not offensive or anything like that, and it's got to be ice cold because while this is getting warmer, it's not going down as good as I wanted it to. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, for personal enjoyment, I gave it a 6 out of 10. That's what
Nice. All right, Guy, what do you think?
Okay, so my second time trying it out. It's not a total Scheiße beer by any stretch of the, So after nose, I got 10 in orange pretty much, and that's it. Then for taste notes, I got tabletop varnish, cigar paper, orange, banana, sugar, brown sugar. Just, I don't know. It's very bland, and I think last time I tried it, I gave it 7.6 out of 10. This time I'll just give it like a 5.5 out of 10.
Varnish.
Varnish. I get the tin part.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh,
So would you give that for style, Guy?
Seeing that we all had the Molson Canadian wheat compared to this would be like a 4 out of 10 compared to that.
Okay.
it's the cat's ass. Anyway, all right, Craig. Greg, what's your thoughts on this?
I think it's, if you could have an entry level in this style, I think this would probably be it. It's not too or anything like that. It's very simple. It's a little bit kind of watery. Flavor wise, it's really subdued. Hints of this and hints of that, classic of the style, but I can't remember what I gave this as a rating a few years ago. I probably preferred it more then, but then after drinking quite a few other Hefeweizen since, Yeah, I'd say this is an entry level. It's not.
Hmm.
It's okay. If it's on tap anywhere, I think, to see if it's any better than the bottle. But by the sounds of it, Joe's having this now in the can. I don't know if anyone else is, but
Still shit.
yeah.
Be nice and nice and fresh in a can.
Again, you probably drink better when it's hot weather as well. I mean, this is generally when I tend to drink this style of beer.
Hmm.
But that's just me. But yeah. And the style, then I don't know, a 4. Overall,
Wow,
5.5.
Wow. Yeah. It's kind of a low rating. Anyway, Redbeard, what's your thoughts on this?
I kind of already said before anybody else did, but the same like I said before, I don't find it to be offensive, but I don't find it to be impressive. Like it's a beer. Again, if somebody gave it to me at a party or something, I'd drink it. I'm not going to seek it out again. It's not something I feel the need to have more of, but it's not. Again, the smell, in my opinion, compared to other wheat beers I've had, is more or less typical. The flavor, maybe a little sweeter than other wheat beers I've had, but again, it's a beer. A little bit of the bubblegum flavor I'm getting for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not bad. It's just not great or really even that good. There are so many other beers that I would purchase instead of this kind of thing, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and Peter? Oh, Redbeard, you didn't give your ratings.
Oh, we'll do it a 5, I guess, right? Isn't it?
10?
Doesn't matter. You can do it as 5 or 10.
So overall,
Well, hang on, time out.
Even if there were so many people giving scores.
Were we giving score? Everyone to this point gave it out of 10.
Yeah, okay, do it at a 10.
That's
Well, no,
not
I'm
what I
just
usually
hang
do.
on. I'm making sure everyone, because there were some 3s. I'll make sure those are 3s out of 10 and not 5.
You're
Because I mean, this is
assuming
serious
a
business.
professional operation.
We
This
can't
is
let Jamie
serious.
Erdinger rests.
A lot of people
Joe, I can
rely on
confirm
these
that's
videos.
The credibility of BA 101 rests.
So Chris,
Years
Greg,
of German brewing tradition.
and Guy, everybody to this point out of 10, right? No one was doing it out of 5, right? Right.
Oh yes, we
Doing it.
confirmed that.
All right, go ahead, Redbeard.
We're
I was
doing
doing
Redbeard
mine-
out of 10.
I was doing
Out of
mine
5,
out of 8.5.
I said
I
88.
do mine at 88 or 93 garbage.
From Greg.
Again,
Okay, so I'd probably go more or less 5 and 5. 5 for the overall and 5 for the style, whatever you want to say. Just very middle of the road, not anything amazing.
Well, if I can get behind that. As for people that probably won't like the beer, Peter, what do you think?
I pretty much echo a lot of what people have said already, but I think that actually works in this beer's favor because I'm not a fan of like getting that clovey character. I'm not really a fan of getting that like bubblegum banana flavor from these wheat beers. So, although I don't think it's a great example of the style, to me it's a little bit more drinkable than most because it's it's not as heavy as some of the wheat beers. It doesn't like rest heavy on the gut when you've drank it. Very easy drinking.
You sound so wise, Peter.
It's like, well, thank you. It's so inoffensive, but it's in a weird way it's easier for me to drink than a lot of the others out there. So I think the style, it just gets a flat 5 because it's just doesn't really bring anything to the table. I'm sure in its heyday it was like mind blowing, but we're going like hundreds of years ago. But now with what you can get from the German breweries, it just pales in comparison. But in terms of drinkability and enjoyment, I'm going to give it a 6. It's not one that I'll go out and buy again anytime soon. I might try it on tap or something like that, or just for the sake of argument, try it in a can, just see if there are any differences. But yeah, so for style, 5, because it's okay. It gives you a kind of good impression of what the style is. But at the same time, it could put a lot of people off because it is quite bland. But yeah, enjoyment. So 5 out of 10 for style, 6 out of 10 for enjoyment.
Oh, I completely concur. I think who was it? Joe that was made the original point that this is like a macro version of a Hefeweizen. It's absolutely right. And I mean, when I drink it, I get that slightly metallic note when I first drink it. I get notes of mild banana and bubble gum, and it tastes very much like it's a beer made with liquid sugar just to beef it up. God knows that. And I even look at it, and I look compared to other Hefeweizens, I notice it's still hazy, but it's not nearly as hazy as some of these like turbid quality that your typical Hefeweizen can be if it's really agitated. It's the middle of the road Hefeweizen. I guess you could call it a good entry level for it, but I mean, Hefeweizen's an easy style to get into anyway. And Hefeweizen is actually personally one of my very favorite styles, to be honest. But when it comes to like, I remember I did this a few years ago where I bought a whole bunch of different Hefeweizens just to try each and every one of them. And yeah, Erdinger was the one that took up the last place because it was just the most bland and boring. I'm drinking this one here a little bit more warmed up, and I'm getting more of that sweetness, the cereal grain. Not necessarily like cereal grain is like you almost think like you're eating Cheerios or corn or something, but it's a slightly grainy. It's wheaty, as Guy would say.
Wheaty.
It's a touch of banana and caramel, and it's just, you might get a little bit of flavor, but it's all mixed together as the same as you would get in like a macro beer that's made fortified with sugar or something. And it's just kind of ruins it. It's almost fake in that quality where you could compare it to like what's that? Is it the banana bread beer or something that's kind of fake now from Wells?
Wells and Youngs.
Wells and Youngs. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's not very hefty.
There's if you're interested in checking out Hefeweizen, it's a very delicious style to get into, but that one's very boring as compared to the other ones. And to be honest, I was hoping we could do it to Hefeweizen, and maybe we will in the future. But my overall thoughts is that I still like it. Yeah, I still like it. I would say for style, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10 because there's definitely better out there. Overall, a 6.5. It's definitely palatable. And if you can't sell, I'm almost done.
No, I've finished now.
Oh, you finished? You finished all over yourself.
It usually takes me such a long time to finish a wheat beer.
This one's actually.
I was going to say clean it. I was going to say clean it up.
It does go down easy, but it's that little that liquid sugar and bubble gum. It's kind of like
you can't be throwing around those claims made with liquid sugar. Let's just slow that down. You don't want to get your fucking channel demonetized or anything. Let's get it under control.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen anyway. Thanks, Google.
I will say this though. A lot of people say that wheat beers are good for the summer, but it's probably just my metabolism or whatever. But if I have like more than 1 or 2 wheat beers in one session, I get bloated, I get gassy, and then there's chances that the next day, and pardon my French, I'm shitting water the next day.
That's kind of gross. That's actually one thing you say where this one here is a lot lighter. It just kind of reminds me, this is rather flat for a Hefeweizen.
Yeah. It doesn't have.
Maybe that's why it seems watery.
It doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't have carbonation.
It's not very heavy.
Like your typical Hefeweizen is very carbonated and you get a very big head from it.
Hilarious! Everything's hilarious.
Hilarious. Hello.
When I poured it and when everyone else poured it, you got a decent sized head. And but when you're drinking it, it definitely doesn't feel like it's overly carbonated like so many of the Hefeweizens are. So I agree with that.
So if you gotta drink a 6-pack, you gotta drink it with your butt.
All right. So if Jamie's still around, he hasn't commented in a while in the chat. If he's not around, we'll move on. If he is there hearing me, then what's the total? If you got one. In the meantime, I'm going to get who wants to read the comments?
Joe.
Pretty sure Greg.
Joe.
Greg did such a great
does a great job.
messing up.
You love my comment reading.
Yeah. All right, you read everything. So that's...
Well, it was debatable whether or not Greg could read, but he proved us wrong.
That's right.
All right, because it's so fantastic. Let's just get Joe to do it since he's back on the.
No, seriously, Greg did a great job. I thoroughly
Joe,
enjoyed
earn your keep.
Yeah.
All right.
That's Joe's not so subtle way of saying he hates reading comments and he never wants to read comments again.
All right.
I didn't
guys,
say it,
settle
but
down.
you just did, and I kind of agree with you. So we'll go.
So
With that.
there we go.
Guys, do you want to read
Once you've
comments, or
been
do you want to act
corrupted,
like a bunch of
yours,
animals?
no, Joe.
I mean, you're reading comments, and we're not. We're just listening to you read the comments.
Okay. So Jace Westcott says, "Shut up and eat your pickles." I assume he's talking about Chris there. Then he says, "Captain Jean-Guy Picard." I assume that's referred to Guy. On the 10th says, "Hello, viewers." Hello, Chris.
The fucking shit.
Redbeard says, "What be going down?"
Hi, Redbeard.
Hey, guys.
Beer analysis 101 be going down, clearly. Jace Westcott says, "Love Greg's ugly cat." To Jace Westcott, "Fuck you. That cat cost $4,000, so fuck you."
Whoa.
Rain on Your Parade says, "Sitting this one out again. I looked at Erdinger line as average and did not feel like drinking a wheat beer today, and with the 8-hour notice." Has Rain on Your Parade ever been in our beer analysis?
No, never.
I posted what beer we're doing this week in a video earlier this week.
And
it was earlier. I actually saw it, and it was
very
definitely
late
not
in the
8
watch.
hours ago.
Yeah, that's
No one
on.
watches your shit
every
anyway.
time Nick's been live,
Just kidding.
or we've been live, we've talked about what beer we're drinking. So.
Yeah, he's rating on everyone's parade, including his own.
Yes.
8-hour notice. If you meant like 5-day notice.
Pissing on his own camp.
Well, we
Now-
didn't.
now
pick,
I know
we
why
didn't
you
pick
were
the
hating.
beer. We didn't pick the beer we were going to do until that Saturday hangout that I did there.
Just
Whatever,
say
4
Cold
But
days.
still,
Story,
that's
bro.
a several day notice. Anyway,
Maybe if Rating
around.
on Parade actually checked out your content aside from the beer analysis. we would be
People
all right.
Didn't watch the first 5 minutes and then hit dislike.
I'll send him a text even though I don't have his number next time.
So basically what everyone's
Such an
saying is
AI,
that, we wish you could have made it, but fuck you.
I'll hit him up on ICQ, right? IQ.
MSN Messenger. Hotel Bevo.
We say that in the most loving
Yeah,
way possible.
we're pretty sure his email address is ratingonyyourparade at AOL.com.
ASL.
No, do not answer that rating on your parade.
All right. So Basement Beer says, "I've heard that there's bleach and fluoride in that beer. No thanks." Now, see, you are misinformed. Somebody may have
Tasteless
told you there's fluoride in the beer. That's not true. There is bleach in the beer. That's how they take a regular beer and make it white.
Yeah,
Science.
give us a half an hour. There'll be about 2 of us left.
Yeah, but they don't do it in LA style beers.
Yeah, hellies.
And Rating on Your Parade goes on to say, "Who thinks Mr. Lee Russell should do a blind tasting with Corona, MGD, Coors, and 1 or 2 others? He does not want to do this. I think we should force him."
Do it.
Do you also think it's a good idea to force women to have sex with you? Because that is both those things you're describing are illegal, good sir. So just keep that in mind.
Fantastic.
On the 10th says, "LOL."
Lol.
Chris is endorsing rape. Good. The Amy Glada fan. I'm a amygdaloid.
Amy?
I can't pronounce that word.
It's
What's your
amygdaloid.
name?
Amygdaloid. It's a
What's
brainy thing.
What's your real
Okay.
name? It's Terry.
Terry. Her name's Terry.
Terry.
Then they say, "I need a close-up. I can't see it." I don't know what they're talking about.
She was
Is it
talking
the
about
beard? Is
she
it
wanted to
the
see the
beard?
braid and the beard. She saw it. It's all good.
Oh, okay. So you showed it to her. Good. So it's a she?
It's what else she
Yes.
shouted at.
Oh god. Oh, Greg's got a boner. Watch it.
I feel like
I've
Greg
already
should not
had
be
a
reading
boner,
comments
don't-
with
Yeah, I
potential
told you,
females
Joe.
in the
Fuck,
comments
fuck's
section.
For fuck's sakes.
That's on
Then
Nick
Jay-
for allowing this to happen.
Hooray.
Then Jace Westcott says, even the Dunkel is mediocre, though. Well, sadly, I agreed with Jace Westcott, but he already proved himself in the above comment that he doesn't know what he's talking about, so we're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, our good friend PA Brew News says boring.
Yes,
That
yes,
says-
it was. It was super boring.
On the
I don't
10th
know
says,
whether
so
you're
much for
talking.
muting ourselves. Some of us can just, control not being loud, Chris. It's amazing.
Not possible.
Paul continues to say, on the Jace, won the Jace, I assume he says on the Jace scale, 96 out of 100.
At least most
Jamie
excellent.
says, that girl whose name I can't pronounce, so mean. Redbeard says, I'm the devil. Maybe because he's horny, I don't know. She agrees, says true. Your face is behind all the little people.
She's talking about you there. Like your camera's angled very low and weird.
Yeah, it's true. It is. I can't make this table go any lower, and I don't
It's
feel
al-
like
it's-
sitting any higher.
It's always like that. I just grown accustomed to it, and I'm okay with the little people blocking off half your
If you
face.
had the top-down view, then you'd be able to see that he has his dick out.
Okay, so no. Well, yeah, you don't want to see below my waist. Okay. See, I thought that comment referred
I'm taking
to like
over
performing
beer
analysis
analysis
on
101.
midgets, but I guess not.
Can we just read the comments?
All right. So
down,
Paul
go on.
says, "What we why?"
It's trying to mimic Geese. Wheat. Damn it.
Then our female fan goes on to say at the bottom of the video, which Redbeard prize LOL. Jace Westcott says orange candies and varnish. I assume referring to Gee's tasting notes.
Correction. It was just orange. There was no candies involved this time.
No.
No,
Not even
That's
that
true.
Orange
That's true.
varnish.
Clearly, he was not paying attention and taking proper
Orange
notes.
varnish.
Candies is for the high end shit, bro.
Yeah.
To which on the
It's
10th
big.
replies
Orange
with a very
candy's good.
insightful
Orange is
comment.
not good.
Ha.
Iron shit, bruh.
Then we
Fuck
got
fruit.
pressure. Then Paul says pressure treated lumber. His tasting notes. Then
lumber.
Then Amy says
True.
that accent though. Oh, which accent? Which accent do you find hot?
She likes Peter's accent. She likes Peter.
Oh, Peter's? Oh, wow.
Peter.
I'm
Craig.
assuming it's Peter. I'm
Peter's
assuming it's
sexy
Peter or
accent.
Craig.
She
It's not
She
Joe's
thinks,
American
she thinks
accent.
Peter sounds Australian, which they're
that-
similar, are they not? But
There must be something wrong in Australia if I'm Australian.
Same thing.
Well, perhaps if you go down under on him, you'll find out he is.
Oh.
Are you asking Redbeard?
Whackity smackity do.
And then our good friend Paul says anal entry level. Well, that's important.
Wait
If you
till
hide too
March.
low, it's hard to get it in. Then he says, "Why eat again?" To which Amy gives this kind of thing, like she's satisfied, and P. Brunus gives a thumbs up, so he approves as well.
Oh, that's
And
not
then he
satisfied. That's she's ready. She's ready.
Then he continues to say,
That's Kekistani.
"On the ground, in a bag, or straight out of the ass,
Get it right.
shit is still shit."
Huge.
That's actually probably the smartest comment
That's a good analogy.
that's been said so far. Okay, hold on. I lost my place.
Jesus Christ.
I know this is very unprofessional.
That's a long time ago.
Oh, Paul says 5. I did mine out of 100. Okay, so how many points out of 100? I don't know. You get 93.
God, how early are we in these comments?
Yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot of bullshit here. But I'm going to read every single one. The beer for next week is ? We will talk about the beer from next week. We do all the time. No need to ask.
I think we're thinking Founder CBS.
Hey. Let's segue
You were
into
getting
that
nothing.
later.
I'm sorry. The
I
comments
can't
are
take that anymore. That's
I didn't mean to step on your toes.
Joe,
You're
come
fucking
on.
trying on.
Welcome,
Way to go,
welcome
Joe.
back, Joe. Welcome back, Joe.
Yeah.
Welcome
Keep it
back.
classy.
We're doing Founder CBS. He's going to hold.
Alrighty. So yeah, move along to the rest of the comments.
Okay, Paul says it's inoffensive.
It's funny you mute Greg when he says inoffensive.
I didn't. Who
I did it. In defense.
uncalled
Can
for.
you get St. Was oatmeal stout? That's fucking that's good.
I'd love to
All
do
right,
that at some
Greg,
point.
Greg, carry on. I was just fucking.
He can't. He's muted. He doesn't know how to unmute himself. I think that's what it is. Look at him go. He can't handle it. Can't deal with it.
Dude, I'm just going to finish up these comments. This is bullshit.
Finish.
On the 10th says we'll read comments after our ratings. Yeah, we're doing that now. Unfortunately, it took 45 minutes to do so. Craig from Count Beer Review says, "Hey, Pauling." And then Paul responds with, "Indeed, Craigling." And then he says, "You are all very jovial." And then Terry says, "Graphic." Jace Westcott says, "Toronto scored 1-1. Nobody cares, Jace." And then he says, "Lesser Greg is reading this." Doubtful. Terry says, "This needs more kittens if we want to get monetized."
It's true.
Redbeard says, "Mukau is sleeping." I believe that's his cat. I hope not.
That's his dog.
That's his dog.
Oh.
Holy shit.
No, Oreo's here. Mukau's the cat, and she's.
Oh,
I
Luca.
don't-
Sorry, my bad.
This is terrible. Jace Westcott says, "I love your $4,000 ugly cat, Craig." And then Jay says, "Mukau is always sleeping." Redbeard says she's coming out in the mornings to terrorize Oreo.
Yes.
Give us
We
some milk.
have Terry saying, I'm uncultured, okay. Whoa. And then Chris says, we're sorry, Greg. Read the comments. He's done now. I am
All done.
DJ, which is Brian says, I think it's, I don't might not be Brian, just says bonjour. Redbeard replies with, hey, hey, hey. He replies with, hey, 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 back. And then we're at hey from Terry. We're done. We're fucking done. Comments are done.
We are, yeah,
Well done. Well done. Good times.
Not nearly as good as the first guy who read the comments, but he did okay.
Comments.
Yeah, well.
Did okay for
I think
a
we
child.
actually, the comments actually took longer than the rest of the show.
Because
Somehow.
you gotta be thorough with comments, Joe. You gotta give each comment the love it deserves.
Which is absolutely no love. Except for a
You
couple.
gotta read the rest of the comments, Joe.
Oh, for
You're
fuck's
obliged to
sakes.
do.
Yeah, they just keep on saying hey, 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 and Terry says one more. You say,
Peter,
yeah,
what are
great.
you doing right now?
All right.
Hold up your founder CBS and announce to the world.
yeah.
Yeah.
The camera's picking that up like crazy.
Sorry.
Right.
Don't
Okay,
be
so
sorry.
yes, next week's beer is indeed a Founders CBS. I'm not sure if everybody here can get it, but a lot of us already have it. I know Lee Russell's got a bottle. I don't know if Guy's got one.
I
But,
drank mine.
well, we're definitely doing this one for next week. And it should be a great episode. It's also going to be the 10th episode of Beer Analysis 101 that I've hosted.
Like
So
that.
it's a great-
I gotta
The
say,
bootleg version.
Oh, it's a
I gotta call a
milestone.
little bit of bullshit that CBS is happening now. I'm out. There's no way. I'm pretty sure there's no way I'm getting more here in North.
Well, how many did you buy?
Like 4.
That's on you.
That's on you.
You
Oh,
save
that's-
one of them. Just save one of them. You don't have to be an animal and drink all 4. I mean,
Exactly. You didn't have to.
I shared them with friends and stuff. I did my review in the live thing.
one,
I did the
one
live
thing
thing.
you'll learn is beer analysis 101 is
never
way
share
more important than
beers with
friends.
God.
Then you've
No,
already
no,
shared
there-
it with friends. You don't need to.
There's no more left. Just no.
I might be able to get it if it's near the time on.
The Amygdaloid fan says next week burping contest. Yeah, maybe.
Might
I'll
get
have a
it.
look around and pick up the bottle.
We'll see.
Anyway,
Last two comments we have that I'll read is from Greg and Terry. Greg says penis. She says vagina. And we're done.
All we need.
yeah. That's
Really
all-
good
that's-
reference to
See
a
you next
PewDiePie
week,
video with
guys.
the Bobs and Vagini. That's
We,
pretty
we,
dope.
we ended exactly how life begins.
With
Be
Nick's
dirty.
dad fucking someone.
Oh, for
Thank-
fuck's sakes, Greg.
Thanks for all the
All right.
comments from the lovely individuals.
Jesus Christ. All right. Thanks for
Just like
watching
your
our
dad,
beer
I'm
analysis that really went off the rails as per usual of Erdinger, Weissbier, or Weissbier, Erdinger, Weissbier. Jawohl.
Yeah, boy.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks, everybody, for being on the panel. We'll be
Jawohl.
going live.
Even done.
Unless Chad goes on, I don't know. I haven't heard from him. Unless that happens, I'll be going live shortly with a post-analysis hangout.
Yeah, motherfuckers.
Talk to you
For
folks soon.
fuck's sakes.
Great
Rise
question.
up, yeah, better.
Cheers.
All the bleach, bitches.